Greetings, my excellent friend.
Welcome to Heavy Metal
History.
One. All right, what's up, everybody? Welcome to this week's episode of the Heavy Metal History Podcast. As usual, I'm your host, Dustin, but this week, Matt is not with us. He has a little bit of a sickness, so I'm kind of going on my own. But I do have a guest this week, an old friend of mine from way back, Mr. Mark Denkewalter. Mark, welcome.
Hello, thank you.
Mark, I guess real quick for people that might not know who you are, what do you do? What did you do? Kind of give people a little run through real quick.
Okay, well, I'm from San Antonio, Texas. I was in a band out here called Blood of Our Enemies, like a death metal, deathcore band, whatever you people want to put it in. Did that for a while. Got to do a lot of playing shows here locally, all around Texas, and tour. Did that for a good few years, and then after that, got into the tour managing side of music, working with for Artery Foundation and other stuff. Did some stuff for Sumerian, so that's pretty much my background in the music biz.
Yeah, and I think, man, me and you met in 2006 or 7 maybe.
Yeah, dude, it was like way back way.
yeah, it was a long time ago, man. You guys played Chattanooga with Upon a Burning Body, and
yes, sir. You were, I remember, because you were with Faith or Flames.
Yeah, I was still doing their merch stuff back then. And man, who headlined that show? Was it just kind of like a local thing, or was Whitechapel on that? Because I know that's when they were like a local band too.
Yeah, so we were both so what it was is they did like a tour with a band from Virginia, like a little tour, East Coast tour. We Were Gentlemen.
Oh yeah, that's right.
Yeah, they were with We Were Gentlemen, and they did like a little thing with Thumbscrew, which was another band from Texas. And so then I remember both bands were generating some really good buzz in San Antonio. So me and Danny were the singer of UABB of Upon. We're just kind of hey man, we got to tour together. I mean, because we were all friends. We partied together, played local shows together. We were all boys. We got to tour together. So that was back in the good old MySpace days when you would just post mad bulletins hey, who could book a show here? And people would be like, bro, I got it. So we just me and him just hit up MySpace and just killed it. Just I booked this half, he booked this half, and we just killed it. And it was my first time booking anything, so I was I had no idea what to do. And they had they did one or two little tours, so they had a little more experience, and it was fun. And then I remember when we met you guys, we first played Knoxville on the tour.
Okay.
Played Knoxville, and the guy that booked the show was friends with Whitechapel, and that was before they even got big. They were still on Siege of Armada.
Yeah.
And we played that, and we met Phil. Phil was there, and he watched us, and he was like, man, you guys are fucking awesome, and da-da-da. And we just what band are you in? He's like, oh, man, Whitechapel. We're like, oh, man, we became cool. And it was it was fun. And then we played Chattanooga. And I remember with the funniest thing, because Danny was because I think Danny and them, Upon already met you guys. You know what I mean?
I think they knew us from little small tours that we had done down there, something like that. But yeah, you're right.
Yeah, and it's because of what's his name, man? Steel Reserve. Oh my God,
Weatherford.
Yes, Weatherford.
Yeah,
they're bro, he's got a 211 tattooed on his lip, and I was I gotta see this. And we met y'all, and we played. Oh man.
The venue was called Fathom.
Fathom, yes. It was
yeah.
was that the college strip or something of Chattanooga or something?
No, that was actually right in the middle of downtown.
And I just remember I was dude, what the hell's in Chattanooga? And then I think it was Weatherford's dude, Morgan Freeman's from here. And I was oh wow, dope, Morgan Freeman. And it was fun, and then everyone just hit it off. We all just became homies. It was awesome. And then
Yeah, man. I remember like that night after you guys played the show, we all ended up like hanging out, and it was one of like the funnest nights because we all went to like I mean I don't remember the whole night, but from what I remember, we went to this random dude's apartment and he had no power
Oh
in the
God, yes.
apartment.
No running water, no nothing, and we just like got like we partied hard all
Yeah.
night, like candles and stuff.
Yeah, I
And
know.
we,
Didn't we also at one point, like maybe we'd done this before we got to the dude's house, but didn't we go to like Walmart or some shit like that? And like you guys were like taking sub sandwiches and just like sticking them in your hoodies and stuff.
oh yes, yes, yes. God, I've all people that are gonna listen to this podcast. If you're a band starting off on tour, go to Walmart and steal because it is easy to steal from there. Just walk around. I remember we would like go to the like where you order like chicken and potato wedges and
Yeah.
they'd order and they'd give it to you and we just walk around and eat. I remember Sal would just like go to like the cookie aisle and open Chips Ahoy's and walk around that bitch and eat every cookie and then just put the cookies away and walk out with subs and all this stuff, cups of ramen. And then I remember that. Then we bought all this beer and ended up at that house and this random dude's house and got like drunk till like 5 or 6 in the morning with no water, no
Yeah.
electricity. But it was like one of the best things ever.
Yeah, we were, man, yeah, that's the thing is I don't remember anything else after that because we were just drinking like so much. I know,
Yeah,
fuck, man, what was your guitar player's name?
oh,
The
Adrian.
yeah, Adrian, that motherfucker was hilarious.
Oh my God. The funniest man alive and one of the best guitar players I've ever met. You know what I mean? I mean, I know a lot of great guitar players, but I remember when he joined the band, we were just like, oh, dude, like this is the guy we needed. Because
Yeah.
I'm not a shredder. I'm just like I'll write riffs and songs, and this dude came in and was just kind of like changed everything. It was fun, but yeah, he was hilarious. That he was the king drunk. Him and Weatherford hit it off. Just two just like get wasted guys.
Oh, yeah, they had a huge bromance.
Dude, I remember the first time we played, he started sweeping. I don't know if you remember that. He started sweeping, and then Weatherford's just like, Viking metal! And just like, oh man, fun times, dude. I mean, and now look at it. And now I'm old. I'm
Yeah,
that old
right.
washed, I'm the old washed up dude just chilling with kids and babies and metal stories.
I mean that's one of the reasons I wanted to like have you on the podcast and do this, man, is like, everybody that listens to like music and stuff, they think everything's like super glamorous, but they forget like people have to have real lives eventually. You can't There's some guys that sure they can do it for life and they don't care, but at a certain point you kind of got to figure out what your priorities are going to be, and then you're obviously still going to be like involved in music and metal because it's like in you, but
Yeah.
families and shit, it's more important.
Yeah, and the thing about music, man, that I've learned from playing like being on both sides is you either like you adapt or you just kind of like go with the motions, like you're in a band, you're signed, you tour, you play shows, you do this, you do that, you get your little hype, you get big, you have a good little run. And then you either, after a while it kind of stops, fades out, you know what I mean? Or you like adapt, like perfect examples is I'll use, I'll use, various artists, that
Mm-hmm.
have, they start clothing lines or they start, doing this and, teaching vocal stuff, like they do other outlets, you know what I mean? To where they stay in the music business, start TMing, do tour management, open record, labels and stuff like that. So there's so much you do to stay in the music or you just get out of it. You know what I mean?
Yeah, and that's one thing I miss, man, is like I wish I could have stayed in it a little bit longer because there's days where I'm like, oh my God, I want to be like doing this every night, like listening to all these bands, hanging out with all these dudes, getting drunk every so often, because I feel like a lot of it I took for granted at the time, and like, because I was so young, I was just like, whatever, I'm just traveling, like, no responsibilities, and I definitely like didn't think it would ever end, and then when it did, I just never came to terms with it. And every now and then I'm still like, oh man, I just want to be doing this again.
No, I agree. I remember I was actually I'm sitting here. I was watching Disney Channel with
Mhm.
my daughter, and I'm sitting here. I'm looking around. My daughter's right next to me, and then my older son's over here. I got 3 kids. My other son's playing with his trucks, and I'm sitting there and I'm looking around, and I'm just like, God damn, I'm like I'm a dad now. Like it really like hit me, and then my wife was all like, "Do you ever miss touring?" I'm like, "Fuck yeah, I do." I was like, "It's like a drug, you know. Like you miss, like you said, it's you know your priorities and you got them, but I mean, something, the music you can't take away, especially when it was like so long of your life. I mean, if we
Mhm.
really think about it, I mean, we started in like 2005 is when I really like started like playing music.
Okay.
Like okay, I'm gonna start a band. We're gonna do this. We're gonna do that, and then it goes strong till 2009, 2010. I mean, those are years of not working shit jobs. Really focusing on like booking tours and doing this. Like you're really working on getting your name out there, and it's when it's all done, it's like it's a part of you. You know what I mean? Like no matter how old, I'll be 50, 60 years old, and I'll still be like, man, I wish I could just do one more run. You know what I mean? And just get on stage one last time. And as you know, it's addictive, and I think that's what a lot of people don't realize is once you get that little taste, and it's hard to let go.
Yeah, yeah, and I think all the time, like figuring out ways of like who I could talk to be like, hey man, you know anybody that like, wants to take me out on the road? Because like I would do it in a heartbeat, probably, maybe, I don't know, but yeah,
Yeah,
when you're working like 40 hours a week and you're like, what am I doing right now? Like I'd rather be out in another place that maybe I've seen 3 or 4 times, but it's not this place that I have to come to every day.
yeah, I agree, and I think what I miss most is is like the bond that is made with music and touring. Whether it's be metal, hardcore, death metal,
Hmm.
scene music, metalcore, whatever you want to call it. Like there's a bond that's made. And per, perfect example, 2006. It's 2017. And me and you we're still good friends. Like I have so many. Like you make that bond. You know what I mean? And it's awesome. It's I met amazing people on the road in bands, and it's crazy, and I think that's the best thing, is meeting these amazing people with different backgrounds and different stories, people you don't know, like you don't know these people, and you're playing a show and they're like, dude, why don't you come, dude, you can crash on my floor, you know what I mean? And you just meet these people, and like they're fucking opening up their house. They never met you. You don't know them, and it's like they stay at your house. You shower. They fucking feed you. It's like you make this friendship, and then every time you go to tour, you go in there. It's like you become friends. Like I still have people that I've met on tour
Hmm.
in cities, and they're like, "Hey man, how have you been?" I'm like, "Oh, I'm doing good. I'll actually be over there. Oh, dude, when you come, man, you can crash over here. Blah blah blah." It's like, bro, I've only met you like twice on tour, and I haven't seen you, but like that's the awesomeness that touring brings. You know what I mean? And to
Yeah.
me, it's like irreplaceable.
Yeah, no, I totally agree, man, because you're exactly right. Like you and like, I have a handful of guys that I've also met like over the years that like I still keep in touch with, and you've always been one of them. And like, it was funny too, because after we first met, I don't think we saw each other again for like probably two, maybe 3 years. And then we ran into each other on the road, when you were tour managing again. And I was like, holy shit, dude, like, what's up? And like, were you with Upon?
Yeah. So what? Okay, I
Yeah, that's what
remember
it was.
you were with. Were
I
you
was,
with Carnif?
yeah, I was out with Carnifex.
That's what it was. So pretty much, I guess I'll do the little uh memory montage.
Yeah.
So I was done touring. A Love Our Enemies was done, and I had a pop punk band, and like it fucking like took off. It was doing like really good in San Antonio, good old Alta Avenue, and it was doing really good.
Mm-hmm.
And then I remember I just had my first son, and I'm kind of at home. I'm not working. At that time I'm kind of like dabbling, like I'm still in this band, but like I'm not taking it seriously. Like we're doing good locally, but I'm not like ready to take it to the next level. I'm like, man, like okay, I've already been there, I've done that. Like I'm burnt out. I got a kid, so I'm still like dabbling in like normal life, like working.
Yeah.
And I remember Danny calls me and he's like, "Hey, you want to come do merch for us?" And I was like, "Oh man, like." Really? He was like, yeah, he's like, you're not gonna get paid. I mean, you get tips, man, but we need someone to go. You're my boy. We know each other for years. We're same city. Like, we'd like you to come. I was like, yeah, and I'm married. You know what I mean? So I remember I have to tell my wife, hey, I'm gonna go on tour. They invited me to go on tour. Blah blah blah. Are they gonna pay you? And I remember I had to like keep it in. I'm like, oh yeah, they're gonna pay me this a week, knowing that I was gonna get paid shit. So I know I have to like hustle fucking tips. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
And I went, and it was awesome. That was the Hot Dice and Black Ice tour. It was Upon, Molotov Solution, Abacab, and Dr. Acula. And
that's
it's
old
fun
school
because,
lineup there.
dude, for real. And the thing is I still keep in contact with all of them, and it's like that's the thing I'm saying. Like that tour was in 2000. That tour was 2010 winter.
Wow.
And that was like my first like official like. I mean, we've done tours, with Blood of Our Enemies. We did tours with like King Conquer, and like a little bit of like My Children, My Bride. Upon a little stint with White. Like did a few little cities.
Yep.
And this was like the first official like on a big label management. And man, it was a blast. I remember it was like 3 months just on the road, and like I remember I came back and I was just like, oh man, I was hooked, and that's actually how I met. We ran into you the second tour.
Yeah, it was in like New Jersey or something, right?
It was Vineland, New Jersey at Hangar the fucking is it the Hangar 87 song?
It was something like that. I forget the name of the place.
It's the Hangar something. I remember in Vineland, New Jersey. That's where I remember.
Yeah.
And so after the Hot Ice Black Ice tour, we did that front. We go to play the Boardwalk in Sacramento. And I'm sitting there, and I remember we're sitting there, we're outside, I'm coming around, and then an old friend of mine sees me, and he goes, Mark, is actually Mike Milford, the singer from Scars of Tomorrow.
Yeah. I've met him a few times because he used to manage Carnifex or do something for them. I forget what.
Yeah, because I think he was on Outer Loop, and then he went to Artery.
Mm-hmm.
So then he's like, "Oh, dude, are you guys touring here? Are you on the package?" Like he was like, "Blood of Our Enemies." I'm like, "Nah, man. Like we just broke up. Like we're done. We call it quits." And I mean, first of all, that made me feel good. He was like, "Oh man, y'all were so good." I was like, "Thanks." He's like, "What are you doing?" I was like, "Oh, I'm actually doing merch for a pond." And he was like, "Really?" And I was like, "Yeah." He's like, "You trying to get in the business?" And I was like, "Yeah, man, I like it, He was like, "You ever tour manage?" And I was like, "Nah, I mean, never. I mean, just our own stuff." He was like, "Man, well, after the show, talk to me." Long story short, Upon played. Great show.
Yeah, the Boardwalk's usually always good shows there.
Yeah, I remember. Who's you remember the sound guy?
Claude?
Claude.
Fucking Claude, yeah, man, I remember him.
He was like, "You guys sound so fucking heavy, guys." He had like that New York, like, welcome back Carter voice, and he talked like that. Fucking awesome, dude.
Giant.
Awesome.
Didn't he have an afro too? Like
Yes.
or like
He had like an afro mixed with like Andre the Giant like curls.
Yeah.
It was a little mix, and he had that New York, just awesome. And by the way, I mean, as you know, not only did he talk funny, but that man was a beast sound engineer he was the fucking awesome dude.
Yeah, that venue always sounded really good. It's a great venue.
And so we're there, and after the show, he He goes, "Hey, walk with me to Jimmy John's," and I was like, "All right, cool." And at this time, I didn't have Jimmy John's because we didn't have Jimmy John's in San Antonio yet. So we were like, "The fuck's Jimmy John's?"
Yeah.
So we're walking there, and he goes, "Hey, I work for Artery." He's like, "Yeah." He's like, "I really like you to tour manage," and I was like, "Really?" He's like, "Dude, I've known you for years. You always hooked us up. You toured. Your band was good. We were friends." He was like, "I got a young band that is kind of up and coming up, and I would love for you to go on tour with them." He was like, "Right now they're on tour in Europe with Head PE," and I'm thinking, "Who the fuck am I gonna go on tour with? Like, they're on tour with Head PE." I'm like,
That's
"The fuck?"
weird.
I was like, "It's like the Mr. Bartender man." He was like, "Yeah, because their old label kind of put them on that tour, but when they come back, they're gonna go with whatever." And I was like, "Okay, cool." What happens to be Attila, who's like now they're just this fucking they're the huge party metal band,
Mm-hmm.
and I was like, "Yeah, man, I'm totally down," and it worked out because I remember there was a show at the White Rabbit they played, and they needed a place to stay, and they had their own style. I mean, it wasn't the kind of style that I listened to, but I mean, I respect all styles. Like, man, it's good, cool dudes. I was like, "Hey, man, y'all need a place to stay? Y'all come crash at my house," because at that time, every touring band always stayed at our apartment or they stayed at my house, with my parents' house, and they're like, "Yeah, dude." So it worked out. So I already knew them, and so the next tour I think I started like 2 weeks with Upon, and they met up with you guys because they were meeting up with y'all in New Jersey, and then I guess y'all were doing a tour together, right? It was like you, Upon, and was anybody else or just y'all two?
I think it was us two and Suffocate, maybe.
Oh, that's right. It was Suffocate. That was.
Yeah, and it was just like a short little like tour to get us to the next tour kind of deal. Like it wasn't very long.
It was like the pre-tour for the tour.
Yeah.
So I remember we met you guys there. I met y'all there, and we played that show, and it was fun seeing you, and of course, seeing the Carnivis guys, which I've known those dudes for so long too, just from meeting them on tours,
Yeah.
and it was fun. And then after that, the next morning, Upon dropped me off at the airport, and Artery flew me to Atlanta, and then because Attila was in Germany, and they were flying to LAX to start a tour at the Chain Reaction. So
Okay.
I had to and I remember my wife, as awesome as she is, she met me in Atlanta. She flew out to Atlanta, and she helped me because I had to, dude. Okay, Artie was like, "Hey, man, I know it's kind of pushing it, but can you get from Atlanta to Los Angeles in a day and a half?" I'm like, "Are you fucking serious, bro?" I was like, yeah, I guess." And he just awesome Milford guy is he went there, and he deposited like $1,000 into my bank account, and I picked up their van and trailer, and me and my wife embarked on a mission from Lawrenceville, Georgia, all the way to LAX in a day and a half. And the day and a half became like, "Hey, bro, we need to make it in a day."
Good
I'm like,
God.
"Fuck." Yeah, and I remember we nonstop. We made it all the way to like Georgia. I think we made it to like Louisiana. And
Okay.
then I was like, "Okay, I gotta go to sleep. Like, I'm fucking tired." We drove all day. You know what I mean? And then the next day we woke up early as shit, had Waffle House. If people don't know, if you go on tour or you're listening to this, you go try Waffle House. Dustin will tell you it's amazing.
Yeah, it's definitely an acquired taste, but I mean, there's no better place to eat at 1 or 2 in the morning when you're drunk off your ass. It's obviously Waffle House.
Right? Just give me hash brown smothered in gravy.
Yes. Yep. Oh my God. Yeah, I haven't eaten at a
And
Waffle House in forever.
yeah, I know. Now I'm getting hungry again. Um, so we made the drive, man, and ended up in LAX at work. um, I remember we made it there.
God, dude, that's
We
a
picked
hell of a drive. How
dude.
tired were you like just doing that?
Oh my god, dude, I was so tired because
Oh,
dude. Because first of all, I know from when we would tour from San Antonio to Florida, it's like 14 hours.
Yeah.
And then Georgia's right above, and then we're going all the way to Los Angeles. And as you know, when you're going to California from Texas, from San Antonio to like New Mexico is the longest drive because from San Antonio El Paso is 9 hours of just fucking desert shit long. That's the longest drive. Is just getting out of Texas.
Yeah.
And yeah, we made it, and we made it. We picked up. Me and my wife picked up the band from LAX, and this is the cool part. They only stayed with me once. I've only met this band once up to that. So that's another thing. They played San Antonio once. They stayed with me. We partied. We became cool. You know what I mean?
Mm-hmm.
We talked to each other through Facebook, and but I never really knew the band. Just like I was. How did you go to tour? You meet this guy. You stay at their house. You have a blast. You become cool. So that's the only time I really seen them, and I pick them up. They're like, "Dude, Mark, hey!" It's like, "Oh fuck yeah, these dudes still remember we were cool." And we picked them up, stayed at their friend's house, smoked a lot of weed, and then dropped my wife off, and then began the tour. And it was a lot of fun, you know what I mean? And it was different because that's where I got to see both sides. Because touring with them, they had like their metal, style, party metal, whatever. But Artery was putting on them with, I guess, I'm doing the quotation marks right now, scene bands or the lighter bands, and it was really crazy because touring with some bands, and me and you, we were metal and death metal and all that stuff and heavy stuff and hardcore, and then I'm ended up touring with like Drop Dead Gorgeous and like Sleeping with Sirens, and I'm like never heard these bands, never heard the music. I'm like, oh my god, like what the fuck am I doing? And then next
Yeah.
thing I know, these guys end up becoming like become like my best friends.
Yeah, and
You know what I mean?
stylistically, it's so drastically different from one another. It's just like, how is this tour
Yes.
going to work? And then it just does because, those bands are so popular.
Yeah, I'm saying it's funny because me myself, I've always been open minded,
Hmm.
but at the same time, I was still, if it makes sense, open minded, but you're still kind of closed minded because with Bowie or Blood of Our Enemies, it was just deathcore, death metal, whatever. We did this, we did this, we did that. I listened to heavy music and toured with heavy bands that did this, so it was different for me. I didn't know what to expect. I mean, I'm like, these bands are not what I listen to. They're not, what I've toured with. It was really, I didn't know what to expect. And then we did it, and it became cool. You know what I mean? Like, how this going with metal guy, do with band shirts and all this stuff, and then torn pants and dressed different and big gauges and tattoos, and then I'm going on tour with girl jeans and Toms. You know what I
Yeah.
mean? It was like a drastic, but it was amazing. And
I've definitely had that happen a time or two as well, man, where like, you may not like the music of the bands that you're touring with, but everybody in the bands are so cool. You just kind of separate that and you're like, whatever, I don't care about your music, but you guys are awesome, so it's like, it doesn't matter in the end.
exactly. And I think the cool part is actually, man, I'm not gonna lie. It's like after a while, like halfway through the tour, I'm like jamming out their songs, and I was like, they fucking grew on me. I'm like, I can kind of dig this. And then it's kind of like that's what I'm saying. Like, I think those tours made me more open minded with music. It made me
Hmm.
appreciate like, what, everyone has their style, and then you sit there and you watch them, you watch them, these bands play, and you watch. You're watching the guitar player, you're watching the drummer, you listen to the singer, you're watching how they set up, clean their drums, how they warm up, how they all this stuff, and it makes you appreciate like, man, they're the same as the other bands. They're just a completely different style, and then it kind of appreciate, like you appreciate things more, and that I think, and I love that because they definitely opened up not just doors, but like my mind, and I love it. And now I'm getting sad because I miss it.
Yeah. And I don't know if maybe you have run into this too, but like, I will say it's pretty rare that you do run into like the douchebag bands. I've only had it happen like twice on tour. I don't know if you've ever ran into it, but
Oh God, yes.
yeah, when that happens, that fucking sucks because you're like, I won't name the band, but I'll go ahead and share this with you. There was a tour that we were doing. It's a very large summer tour, and one of the opening bands that was like I think they were basically the opener of the tour. All they did the whole tour was shit talk every single other band on the tour except for like the headlining band. And you know, they were really out of place, but they definitely weren't like they weren't playing to their crowd, you know?
Yeah.
And so, you know, I overheard them all the time just like talking shit and being like, none of these bands are true metal, and, you know, having that attitude and like never really hanging out with anybody or, you know, anything like that. And it was really unfortunate because I really did stop listening to their music after that because I was just kind of like, oh man, these guys weren't very cool. So why do I want to like listen to their music anymore? And
You probably used to like them a lot too, right? Like up until that, you like really dug the band, or
yeah, no, yeah, definitely. I did like the band. I like the iteration of the band that's on the records, not the one that tours. If that makes sense, I'll tell you off air who it was.
you know what? Yeah, tell me. I'm pretty sure I know who it is.
Yeah,
But, yeah. But
yeah, man,
but yeah.
it's unfortunate too, but it is also cool too when the other thing happens and you kind of make friends, and you know the music may not be your thing, but the guys are so cool. It's just like, well, fuck.
Yeah, and then I'm different. You know me. I don't give a shit. I mean, and you know me. I don't care. I got some stories. I'll name the bands. I don't care. I mean, I don't. It doesn't bother me.
Yeah, you know, the only reason I don't want to name the band is like just in case like one of them want to come on the podcast. Like I don't,
yeah.
you know, like I'll bring that discussion up if they come on the podcast, but I don't want to shit talk anybody on the off chance that like it gets to that point.
Oh yeah. Well, see me like the ones I'm gonna bring up. They're not even a band anymore. So
Oh,
it's
for
like,
sure. Okay.
So I remember. God, I can't even think of their name no more. But it was. So we did the tour with Attila. It was Attila. It was Attila, Sleeping with Sirens, Drop Dead Gorgeous, who I'm gonna say right now. I always knew who Drop Dead Gorgeous was, but I never listened to it. I was always like, God damn, I listen to that fucking scene shit. Shit's gay. You know what I mean? But then I toured with them, and next thing I know, I'm singing their songs. The off subject, coolest dudes I have ever met in my life. Like, bar none, the fucking most awesomest dudes. I mean, they got signed when they were like 15, 16 years old. They were in high school. They got signed.
Okay, I know who you're talking about now. I think I definitely used to listen to them like kind of in the MySpace days.
Yeah.
Not like super into them, but I was like, oh, okay, I see what this band's doing. They're kind of cool. But I stopped after I got like super into death metal and stuff.
Because they were it was them and like From First to Last with the same style, and they were like they just got big, you know what I mean? And it was these young kids, and you know, my sister loved them, and she's like, "Isn't that cool?" I'm like, "Fuck no, I'm in there, you know, I'm fucking in there with my aborted CD, like fuck that shit," you know what I mean? I listen to that stuff, and but so I go on tour and I meet him, and they're just the most awesomest dudes like I've ever met. Like I talk to all of them still. They're fucking awesomest dudes. Just fucking have a good time, you know?
Yeah.
And I remember it's funny of them. We're on tour, and I was like, "Oh, hey, you guys are Drop Dead Gorgeous?" I go, "Yeah, cool." And then I remember one of the guys, his name was Jake, the bass player. Fucking awesome dude.
So you were talking about Jake, the bass player from Drop Dead Gorgeous?
Yeah. So he was a really awesome guy, and he kind of like him and another guy, all of them were cool, but then him and the guitar player, Kyle, who I still talk to a lot, really opened up. Like, you know, I mean, they were cool guys, and they, you know, I learned a lot through them, because these guys were signed when they were 16, so they showed me a lot, and I learned a lot from them. They told me like I I guess you could say I got to learn what the music business side actually does. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
To you from such a young age, and I got to see how it worked. So it was cool times. And then the second tour after that, I did with them was it was them again headlining their album called In Vogue, which is like that was their big hit that they got signed with that everyone loved. And that was a fun tour, and it opened up a lot of stuff. South by Southwest, Metal Dinner, all this stuff, and it was a lot of fun. You know what I mean? And I feel nostalgic because I miss it. But I will say this though, I want to ask you something.
Yeah, what's up?
All the tours you've been in, what is your favorite venue that you've been to? Everyone has like that one venue that they just absolutely love. Like, what's the venue that you just...
There's a few. I know one of the craziest venues I've ever been to is the one that's in, I think, Wisconsin, the Rave.
Oh, yes. That's a good venue.
Yeah, it's so massive, and like it's got a lot of like creepy, eerie stuff to it that like the people that run the venue are always like, oh yeah, this place is haunted, and then they like take you all around the venue to the places that are closed down, and like the downstairs with the abandoned pool and shit, and then they're like, oh yeah, across the street, that's where Jeffrey Dahmer killed somebody, and you're just like, what the fuck, this is the craziest like area ever. And then it's not even in a nice part of town either. It's in a really like shitty run down part of Wisconsin. But the venue is so beautiful. It always sounds really good there. I just like that one. Oh, and that's the one that has the back room that was designed by Prince, the green room.
Yes.
Yeah. So that is really cool.
Yes. See, and I think that's what is crazy, right? Oh man, just little stuff like that is what you miss. Like me, like you said, there's so many venues.
Yeah.
I really liked the one in Allentown, Croc Rock. Remember, is that it?
Yeah. It's got like the 2 stories, and it like wraps around like a square.
Yes, and it's got like the pizza shop in there. So like,
Yeah.
whenever you go on tour, like the tour, the promoter works it out with the tour package. So like, you never get PDs, you get free pizza.
Yeah.
And you're like, fuck, pizza again. So yeah, I love that place.
I remember the last time we were there, or at least the last time I was there at that venue, they had advertising all over the place because one of the people from Jersey Shore was going to be doing like a DJ set around there or some shit like that. And we're all like, what the fuck? Somebody is going to pay these assholes to come do this? Like, oh,
yeah,
man.
It can be a Guido overload.
Yeah. Oh, man.
And it's funny because then, you have, and I think that's the thing is seeing the different venues, you know what I mean? I guess I got kind of spoiled because, living in San Antonio for so long, and this, it's God rest in peace. But, the one thing I liked is whenever we'd be on tour, like, oh, you're from San Antonio? Yeah. Dude, I fucking love the White Rabbit, bro. Like,
Absolutely.
I never realized how big the White Rabbit was outside of Texas. You know what I mean?
Yeah, before I started touring, that was one of the places that like all the bands were like, oh, just wait till we get to the White Rabbit. And I was like, all right. And then when we got there, I was like, man, this place is fucking cool because you have the outside area, you got the little venue, and then you got the big venue. And it's in a nice spot.
Everywhere.
Oh, awesome graffiti. I love the graffiti. Every time I'm there, I was just like always wanted to take pictures.
Yeah.
Yeah, that's another really great venue too, and it's it's kind of got like its own little brand name if you think about it. You say White Rabbit, people already know what venue you're talking about for the most part.
Yes, and it's true. And that, oh man, I miss it. I mean, it's still there, but now it's called the Paper Tiger. It's owned by like a big commercial guy now. The owners had to sell it. It's like, I mean, big tours still go there, but it's like. It's pretty much the hipster capital. It's in the hipster capital of San Antonio now.
Man, that sucks. I didn't know that.
Yeah, so it's called the Paper Tiger. I actually, Adrian, the amazing drunk guitar player we had is actually he's manager. He's a bartender and a manager for the new bar that's connected to that, and that bar is like the biggest bar right now on the whole St. Mary Strip. It's
Oh, that's
connected.
cool though. I mean, that's
Yeah,
a hell of a gig.
yeah. So it's connected. So now when you go there, you'll be like, "Hey, can I get a Bud Light?" And they'll be like, "No, but we have a craft beer." And you're like, "Oh, okay, I gotta drink craft beers now." So but like I said, it sucks. I mean, it's not the same.
Yeah. You know what I was thinking about? Every time we would go there to the White Rabbit is they would have like a cooler full of like Lone Stars ready to go, and I'd be like, fuck yeah. Only drinking Lone Stars here.
dude, see, you get it. Bands would come to tour and be like, "We get Lone Star." We're like, "Fuck yeah," because that's all you can't get it anywhere else other than Texas.
Yeah, exactly.
You know what I mean? And oh man, the good old days, man. Back when we were young and dumb and drunk all the time. But I will say this all the time. And I know I'm going to throw some venues out there that people are probably going to be like, "Oh, it's cliche," but I remember I used to watch videos. I remember watching Bury Your Dead. The Bury Your Dead video, you're watching Chain
I know
Reaction.
exactly. Yep. I was going to say
And
the
you're like,
same
"Oh,
fucking thing.
Yeah. And I get there, I'm like, this venue is fucking small. But in the video, it looks so huge. They're like, "Yeah, we got to set up the merch right here." And I was like, you want me to set up in the restroom? Because that's like pretty much all the room we're going to have. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
And I was like, this venue's so small. And I remember, who was it? Nick from Autof Solution was like, "Dude, like it's gonna get crunk though. Like watch." And it's my, I remember that was on the tour with Upon and Molotov and Abacab and Dr. Raka. That was like my first real tour. So I'm going to venues I've never been to, and watching videos, you're like, "Oh man, that's that venue." And then you go there, I'm like, "God, this venue is like so small." And then they play, and then it just gets like packed and demolished. And you're like, "Okay, this venue's awesome." You know what I mean?
Dude, that's so funny because that is pretty much the exact kind of like same thing that I saw was the Bury Your Dead videos, and pretty much the exact same thing that happened to me is like, because funny enough, like we didn't play Chain Reaction for a long time when I first started touring with Carnifex. It was a venue we always skipped over. And then, like, the one time we played it, I started freaking out because, like, oh, my God, I've always wanted to go to Chain Reaction. And they're all kind of like, why? They didn't really get it. And then same thing happened when I got there. I was like, what the fuck? This place is so small. Like, you see that Bury Your Dead video, like you were saying, and everything looks so massive and just out of control. And you're like, wait, this is Chain Reaction? And sure enough, man, exactly like you said, like, once the show starts, it's all bets are off. That place is a madhouse.
Yeah, you're just like, okay, now I see why this thing. You've seen people just walk on heads. Another venue that I think I fell in love with is, of course, I'm gonna throw it is the good old Palladium. The Palladium.
Palladium's
rules.
crazy though, yeah.
You know what I mean? I remember the first time. The first time we went, I never got to see the big room because we played upstairs, and that dude, it was getting crunk. People were like jumping off the. Because like in the upstairs room, they have like the balcony, they're like jumping off the balcony, like down there, like they're going crazy. It's all cool. And we come back again on a bigger tour, and we're playing like the big tour. We're playing like the downstairs, and I was like, "What the fuck is this?" They're like, "Dude, this is where they have the New England Metal Fest." I was like, "I didn't see this last time," and I was like, "I love that venue," but I think it's the little venues that hold a place in my heart, especially. Oh my God. The place in Holyoke, Mass, they showed us so much love. Oh, it's the Waterfront Tavern. That's the place.
I don't know if I've ever been to there. Yeah, I don't know.
It's in Holyoke, Mass. Like Death Threats from there. Acacia Strains from there. So when we played there, man, it was awesome. You know what I mean? And that it was just really great time. I always hated. There was a venue though I did hate in Carlsbad. I hated it so much. Oh my God, what's it called? You ever been to Jerry's Pizza?
Yes. I was just thinking that's where you play in the basement, right?
Yes. Oh my God.
Oh, and it's so hot down there.
it's yes. I'm just like, oh fuck. And it's another venue. It's hot, and you get pizza, and I'm like, I don't want pizza. I'd rather take Taco Bell than this.
That does seem to be like the primary food every venue wants to give you is like, oh, here's a pizza. Here's a
Yeah,
nice little Caesar's pizza. It's like,
yeah. Here's
oh
pizza.
man.
Are any of y'all vegan or vegetarian? I'm like, man, just give me some fucking pepperonis, man. I'll eat that shit. He can throw it off. You know what I mean? So
What would be the weirdest venue you've ever played? Because I know I got a couple in mind that I'm just like, oh, I can't believe we played a show there.
like weird, like is in the whole setting or just overall, just like the fuck, like just weird.
Well, like, okay, so one of the last tours I did with Carnifex, it was all like mostly self-booked, and it's like a scene out of a movie. Like, you know, when you see like a band playing a fucking restaurant and you know that nobody's there to see the band. It's just people at a restaurant eating food. We played like this fucking barbecue joint, and it was a nightmare because like, man, I don't remember the specifics, but I know it got so bad to where like the owner and the promoter were about to fight Scott, and like shit was just getting really out of hand. They weren't going to give us our food. We weren't getting money, and like it was bad. It was really fucking bad. And I was just like, why are we playing this barbecue place in the first place? You know, like who fucking booked this that thought this was a good idea?
Were there people there to see y'all though?
There was definitely people there to see us because it was us, I Declare War, and Rings of Saturn. But the venue, I wouldn't even call it a venue, man. I think it was just like a last minute, like, hey, you guys can play here kind of place. And the owner didn't know what they were getting into. And then when everything started to happen, he freaked out and
he's like, why are they moshing?
Yeah, shit just got really bad from there. And like, man, I remember like we had to hold back Scott because he was seriously about to fucking beat the shit out of this dude.
Okay. Oh man, weirdest venue. Okay, I forget the name, but it was in Rhode Island. Fuck. Forgot the name, but it was in Rhode Island, and it was that tour. I was with Attila that time. It was Attila, Drop Dead Gorgeous, Sleeping with Sirens, Motionless in White, and another band. For All Those Are Sleeping. I'm with and we're there, and we played in Rhode Island. Oh, God, I can't remember the name, man. It was like Club something, but we're playing, and there's like not a lot of like there's people for the show, but there's not.
Mm-hmm.
But I'm noticing there's an abundance of juggalos. Like there's a lot of juggalos, and I'm kind of looking around. I'm kind of like, well, what the fuck are we doing? Like there's juggalos here. I remember Nate from Attila, my boy Nate. Oh man, I love that guy. He's like, he always like would joke around. He'd be like, "Hey Mark, there's fucking juggalos, bro. We're gonna get some Fago." We're like laughing, like, "What's the fuck are these juggalos?" So we're in this club, we're playing, and I remember there's like stripper poles everywhere, and they're the bands are playing, and there's kids there to see us,
Yeah, I think I know a venue you're talking about now.
But then you start playing, and you start playing, and then you start seeing like people come in, like different people, like real, like I mean, gothic as fuck, dude. Like even like a little S&M gothic, like like the Gimp from fucking Pulp Fiction. You know what I mean? I'm like, what the fuck is going on? And then one of the bouncers goes, "Yeah, tonight's Friday or Saturday, whatever day it was. We become like a gothic like bondage club." And I'm like, the fuck?
Wow.
So then like bands are playing there, and then you see like straight up like bondage people and like gothic stuff, and then after a while like the kids that were there left and then we're playing in front of literally like people that give no shits about the music. Like they're there to listen to like techno goth, tight latex and chokers on, and they don't give a shit. But we played, and then afterwards, I just remember we got really drunk in this place, and just drunk, like having conversations with like, oh yeah, so I like to like be choked, and I like to have cigarettes burnt out on me. I'm like, what the fuck? You guys are weird, but it was fun. I didn't give a shit. And I forgot the name of the venue, but that was probably the most that's probably one of the weirdest places I've ever played at.
Yeah, that's a good one. That's a
Yeah.
good one, man.
I'm just like bondage and stuff like that. Yeah, that was weird.
That's such a random place for that to happen too. Rhode Island of all places. Just like
Yeah,
what?
it's funny because I don't know shit about. All I knew about Rhode Island is from the movie Me, Myself, and Irene. I've fucking never been to Rhode. Like, oh, we're playing Rhode Island. I was like, cool. So I remember, and that was back in the day. You know what I mean? So when you would go somewhere and you were like a touring band, the first place you want to go is, hey, let's go to the mall and find a hot topic and let's tell people to go tonight. All right, cool.
Yeah.
So, and people are like, oh, we're gonna be there, and then like there was good kids there, and then all that happened. They kind of left, and the bondage people came. But I'm gonna ask you a question now.
Mm-hmm.
That was the most weird experience. Worst show you ever played, and I mean worse, like you're just playing in front of you and the touring bands. Everyone's had those.
Man, that's a hard one. I don't know necessarily that, like, when I was with Carnifex, they ever had that, because usually they always had like pretty decent turnouts. But I know when I was out with Faith or Flames, there was more than quite a few shows like that, because we were the opening band for like a tour with Carnifex, and we played, man, quite a few shows where it's literally just like 10 people. And man, what's that really big venue in Minnesota? Or maybe not Minnesota.
Yeah, it's not the Triple Rock, is it?
No. Shit. It's a really nice venue. It's another one of like those nice venues that when you go to it, you're like, oh yeah, this is a good one to be at. But yeah, we played and open, and there was like maybe 10 kids there. Some of the dudes from the other bands watching us. And then obviously as the night went on, like, more and more people came. But even funnier than that, there was a band that played after the whole tour package was done. They're called Jesus Christ, I forget what they're called. They're like this weird like video game band that wears like masks and stuff. Core from With Faith or Flames is actually in that band now, funny enough. But literally, we decided to stay after all that and watch them play, and we were the only like 3 people watching them play. And I was just like, ooh, this is bad. But yeah, as far as that, like, there's nothing that like 100% comes to the top of my head that was so bad that we're like, oh, why are we even doing this right now? Because usually it paid off in some way or another.
Yeah, I remember it was Blood Rhymes. We were our tour, and it was actually the tour where we met you guys. And so I'm expecting we're gonna play shows that are gonna just suck.
Mm-hmm.
But up until this date, we were doing fine. We did all our Texas dates. Of course, we killed it. It's Texas. We go like Arkansas, surprisingly great. Then we go back down to Louisiana. We played Baton Rouge. It was fucking awesome. Then I remember we played Monroe, Louisiana, and that was the first time I got to take a taste of like a bad show. And the promoter was emailing, not like this, the MySpace, like MySpace is messaging.
Yeah.
Me and Danny, like the flyers, and oh man, all these local bands and all this stuff. We're like, hell yeah, it's gonna be fun. And we get there, and the promoter's there, and there's 2 people, the promoter and the sound guy, and we didn't get paid.
Ooh.
We didn't get food, and actually four kids showed up that paid, and so all this stuff happened, and I just remember we told the promoter, look, man, you're not going to pay us, we're not going to money, that's fine. You just buy us a shitload of beer, and can we just play? We'll use it for practice. Just give us an hour, 2 hours. He's like, yeah, no problem. Dude buys a shitload of beer. We get annihilated drunk, and we swap members. Like I'm playing with the pawn, some of theirs are playing with us, and we just get annihilated, dude, and just fucking we play in front of each other, and we take turns moshing. And that was like the first time I've had like played a shit show, and but we made the best of it. And it's funny because those are the things you kind of miss, because those are things you know me like, and it makes you realize like what you go through to get, to like the big tours that you've been on or I've been on at other bands, because I think now I'm gonna jump to like a philosophical side. Now what I see, what I started seeing in the music business by the time I got out is a lot of bands that didn't. I don't want to sound like an elitist, but fuck it, that didn't put the work in. What they
Oh yeah, yeah.
did is they started a band, fucking mommy and daddy's money or their money, whatever, fucking paid for a bomb ass recording.
Yep.
Like fucking amazing recording that a touring band would, a sign band would do, because they, went and paid $5,000 to go to like Zeus or Wade Studios, or wherever, and make this thing and send it. And unfortunately, labels hear it, and it's like, oh my god, this sound is so amazing, even though the band sucks. Labels are thinking money wise, okay, cool, they have the sound, they sound great on record, let's use that and fucking milk them and use it for what we got. And I think that's the one thing that I started hating, is that I saw a lot of bands that I've toured with, uh, that had no business touring, had no business being signed. It's like, you haven't done the tours where you're doing a tour, like you're saying, playing in front of 15 people, eating fucking mom spaghetti, eating crap, you know what I mean? Like putting in your work, you know what I mean? You just make this recording and you go get signed. Like I said, it sounds like an elitist, but
No, no, no. I completely agree.
that
Actually.
that always pissed me off. It's like, it's a slap in the face of these bands that like busted their ass on these
Yeah.
little, on these little labels, on these little managements, playing, and as you know, in the business, you have your different tours. You have your A venues, and then you have, like, oh, so what tour is this going to be on? Oh, like I remember I was with Attila, I did a few tours with them when before they got big. They're like, okay, well, this tour you're going on with them, it's going to be their headliner, but they're still coming up, so it's going to be a B list of it.
Mm-hmm.
So right there, you're getting good venues, but you're not getting
All
like
good
what,
venues.
yeah, you're not getting Palladium, you're not getting Chain Reaction, you're not getting Croc Rock, you're not getting what you call it, Webster Hall. You're not,
Yeah.
getting all these, venues. You're getting, you're you're playing a lot of VFWs,
Yep.
pretty, a lot of VFWs in Lynchburg, Virginia, and Bunfuck, West Virginia. You never been into, so and I salute my, like, to all those bands that put that work in. And I remember one band, I don't give a fuck. They're not a band no more. They're from Texas.
Okay.
A really hardcore scene band, and I mean scene band, like long hair, girl pants, like horrible. They're a band. They were called Scarlett O'Hara,
Yeah, I vaguely remember them.
and they played maybe 4 shows in McAllen, Texas. They're from McAllen.
Mm-hmm.
They played maybe like 4, 5, 6 shows tops, but they were all rich kids, and they took their parents' money, and they recorded with what the fuck's, oh my god, he did Drop Dead Gorgeous. He even did Slipknot's Iowa album, Ross Robinson.
Okay. Yeah.
So these kids from Texas with money went and recorded with Ross Robinson. Because engineers, they don't care if you're not signed. If you got the money, they don't give a shit. They walked in with like 10 G's, like, hey, we got 10 grand.
Yeah, they're
Record
getting
us.
paid at the end of the day, so they don't care.
Yeah, he made this shitty band, like fucking horrible scene band, American Apparel, HM, huge V-necks, just made them sound like Further Style. When you heard the record, like, oh my god, they're fucking amazing. And they sent it off, and I'll be nice, because I mean, I still have friends. I'm not gonna say the the record label and management that they got signed to,
Yeah.
they knew that, okay, this band sucks. They're young, they're marketable. Let's use them, make a lot of money off of them, and then fuck them because they're gonna suck. and but I mean, like that's the reality of the music business. You know what I mean? It's a business.
Yeah,
And,
no, entirely. And I don't think a lot of bands realize that. I mean, look what keeps happening with people that get on Victory Records.
oh man, we're gonna get to that in a few minutes because I got some fucking Victory horror stories.
Oh, I want to hear some.
Fuck
Yeah,
that label.
yeah, when you get done with your point, I definitely got something I want to relate to this because I know exactly like how you feel on this whole situation.
So we're on tour. It's called the Picnic Party Tour. So a lot of bands are touring. It was fun. That was my first time TMing a like co-headlining of like a big tour.
Mm-hmm.
So it's Drop Dead Gorgeous, Attila, Sleeping with Sirens, who at the time Sleeping with Sirens was just like getting huge. They're recording the new album. If you know anything with music, people do like that's a big for their style. They're fucking huge. So that band Scarlet O'Hara's on there, and God, dude, so horrible. Like every song was out of tune. The scream sucked. They're like 15, 16-year-olds, bro, and they're trash. Like they're horrible. We're like, why are you here? Why are you here? But I do give them props because they toured. They did a full nation tour in their like mom's like SUV in a trailer. So I'll give them that. They fucking roughed it out.
Yeah.
But you're watching this band. I'm just like, God, they're so horrible. And I was like, so what tours have you guys done? Oh man, this is like our first tour. I was like, this is your first tour? Y'all are signed? You just got signed and blah blah blah. And you guys are gonna go work on a full length and you're getting marketed. And long story short, they lasted maybe an album and then they got what they wanted out and made the money off of them. It was like, okay, bye, y'all suck. Boom, you're gone. And yeah, that was always my pet peeve, man. It's just, what I've saw in the music business, man, is so many bands out there don't put the work in. You'll have a band that has never toured. They're just local. They don't put the work in, but they're having these elaborate local shows with fucking all these scrims in their background. I'm like, bro, like, why do you do all that? Like, why don't you go out there and tour? And they got these big egos and they're doing this. It's like, you haven't put the work in, like all these bands, like, Carnifex, Whitechapel, Upon. I'll use all the bands I've toured with, Dr. Acula, Molotov, Abacab, to the other bands I've toured with, Attila, Sleeping with Sirens, Motionless in White, all these bands, Villa Maya, like they put in the work.
Oh yeah, absolutely. All of them. I agree with you every step of the way of this.
And it's like, to these bands, it's like, but then again, I can't blame the bands too much. I blame the industry. And I think that's what it is working in the business and you see it. And I got no problem saying it. And like I said, I won't say names or stuff like that, but I get to see that the music business side is pretty fucked up.
It really is. And people don't have any idea of like how fucked up it is.
Yeah, and it's bad, bro. It's like, I really believe in the. Now I understand why there were so many one-hit wonders in the '80s, man. It's like you're hot one minute, and then something else hotter comes up, and the label's like, all right, we'll throw you on the back burner, and we're just gonna focus on this guy. Okay, now they're hot. We're gonna throw you on the back burner, and then you know what? The band that we had on the back burner before you, let's try and do something with them. But you know what? Let's you guys are gonna wear outfits now on stage. You're gonna wear outfits, and you know what? You're gonna wear ties. You are only gonna be in the front pictures. We're gonna kind of fade you in the back. You don't talk. You're gonna dress this way. When you guys play on stage, I need you guys to be in sync. So I want you both to headbang at the same time. Let's do some guitar dips together. And I'm seeing this, and I'm just like, what the fuck is this? Because I mean, and you see bands that you toured with, or bands that where it's it's when you start off touring, they're just normal dudes dressed normal, go out there playing, and then you start seeing the transformation of they're all matching, they're all
Yeah.
dressed, they're all doing this, they're all doing that,
I know
and it's
I
nothing
know who you're
against,
talking about there, if I'm not mistaken,
yeah,
and I agree with you on that.
and it's nothing against the bands at all because
Nope.
I mean they're
Nope.
doing
I agree.
they're doing what they know, but I got to see that, and I was like, I didn't think that. I think, okay, you're in a metal band, you get signed, you just, you play your shows, you do this, you do that, you get a big following, you do good, you get better and better. Then I really got to see that no, it's like a lot of stuff goes into it, like you got to build an image, and that's when I realized the other side, because it's not like death metal, where death metal don't give a shit. Fucking long hair, all black. You go out there and like Cannibal Corpse, just you just go out there. You play your music. Fucking death metal kids are just like, yeah.
Yeah, they don't care.
By the way, death metal people buy the most fucking merch ever,
They do.
hands down. And no, I got to see like no, like you got to make images. You have to do that. And what I'm getting to, when I'm beating around the bushes, is that the bands that do that are the bands that I know for a fact right now have a great career right now. And then the bands that don't do that are the ones that don't have a career. And unfortunately that's the way it is, It's the labels, the management, their job is to get you bigger. And you don't get big just from playing music. Unless
Yeah.
you're like unless you're Black Dahlia Murder. You know what I mean?
That's true, man. Black Dahlia Murder.
Yeah.
They can do whatever they want at this point.
Yeah, they fucking singer just walks around with his shirt off and doesn't give a fuck. They just whatever. They're Black Dahlia Murder, and bands they do it, and it's crazy how you see them climb the music ladder, and I didn't think about that, because Blood of Our Enemies, unfortunately, we never made it to that level. We were close,
Mm-hmm.
top. But then when I got to see that from other levels, I was just like, okay, well, this is how it works. So then at first I'm kind of fighting it. I'm like, no, man, that shit's gay. Like, why are you doing that? Why are you doing that? and then like by the next tour, I'm like, hey, okay, guys, I need y'all to put on your outfits. Let's go. Put on your outfits, go in there. You come in first. You come in first. Wait, you come in last. I'm telling the guy, hey, I need you to bring up the smog. Let's put the lights up there. I want you to come around. When you come on, I want you to be animated, kind of hop around. But I'm kind of like, dude, I'm like fucking Tom Hanks from fucking That Thing You Do. You know what I mean? I'm catching it. But then you realize like that's how it works. You build an image, and the bands that build an image are the ones that work. And I think one of the first like deathcore bands that I really saw do it was Whitechapel. I remember seeing them on tour. They played. Then I started seeing them, and they were all wearing black.
Mm-hmm.
Like black shirts, the black solid shirts, black this, going. They were all moving in sync, and they were all doing stuff. And I remember like looking at the crowd, and kids were fucking going nuts. And it's like you kind of put yourself into a fan's perspective, and you're just like, oh, dude, this is awesome. If I'm seeing these guys, it's awesome. You know what I mean? Like it works. And then it made me realize, like, hey, that's the music business. You either play ball and do what you got to do, or if not, then you don't last. That's why I can name so many bands, just like you can, that got signed, never took it to that level, and then they're gone. And and I'm gonna mention my good friends. I mean, your friends is one of them is Upon. Like their success that they've done right now is amazing because the brand they've made. Like and I guess I'll say it like that. Being in a band, it's not an image, it's a brand. That's like a brand like Nike. It's a brand like Adidas, Vans. You build the brand, you make it up. And I remember with Upon, that's how it was. We did tours and then their next few tours we did, they had to, you do this, you do this on stage, you dress like this, you do that, and then you just see like the fan base just climbs, dude, like bam, 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 and
yeah, no, I noticed that too.
And it's appealing and it works, and I loved it. and it just made me really understand the music business. And
I mean, even recently, man, like yeah, I don't know if you've seen Carnifex anytime recently, but they have a whole new like thing going on with like their whole stage show and stage presence and everything. They all wear like matching outfits. They have like this whole cemetery get up like on the stage. Like they have like their thing now, you know, and it's exactly like you were saying. It's like they finally got the thing, and that like that was their brand, you know what I mean?
yeah,
And now, like, their tour was fucking huge. Like, that place that I saw them in, like, we saw them in Studio 7, and it was fucking packed. Couldn't even move. And,
really.
you know, now they're on Warped Tour this year. That's huge for them.
Oh, dude! And by the way, I gotta give props to the boys. I remember, uh, I uh, I messaged Fred,
Yeah.
and I was like, dude, congrats. You know what I mean?
Seriously,
And
I
I
told
was
him the
like,
same thing. I was like, that's fucking huge for you guys. I'm so proud. Like, exactly the same thing you said. Like,
yeah.
congratulations. Like, it's a big deal.
I remember Fred being Fred. I was like, dude, congrats. She's all like, hey, man, you guys need help and stuff like that. You know what I mean? Just asking. He's like, oh, no, man, we're good. And then I remember I told him, like, yeah, just to let you know, man, I wasn't really like imposing. I was just, just asking, it's huge. And he says, no, man, it's all good. Fred's like, he's like, dude, he's like, as soon as he's like, people found out we got a Warped Tour, our fucking phones have been blowing up.
Yeah, I
You
can
know what I mean?
imagine. Yeah.
Yeah. But I saw that because I remember I saw a picture with Fred, and I was like, what is he wearing? Because when they played here, they played San Antonio last year,
Mm-hmm.
and me and CJ, old upon, we went. Fred, was like, hey, bro, we're in town, man. Haven't seen you in a while. I was like, yeah. So we went. They played their show, and then I saw pictures of them recently, and I saw the whole get up and the whole stage, and then I'm seeing pictures from the recent tour, and I'm like, fuck, dude, their tours look so massive. But
Yeah.
that all goes into play once you get your gimmick. That, I guess that's the best way. Your gimmick, once you get your stitch, your gimmick, it just launches you up. Look at Upon. They got their. It all started with their first album when they did their first album,
Mm-hmm.
The Road Czars. Every song was based off of Al Pacino.
Yeah. Yeah. That was so funny.
They dressed like 30s gangsters. You know what I mean? They did that. It just launched them up to another level because it's appealing. You know what I mean? And it worked. And now look at their success. They're fucking huge. You know what I mean? And look at Carnifex, like you said, they finally say it's huge. And I just have to go back thinking those guys, because not only are they our friends, but being on Warped Tour, as you know, man, that's huge.
Yeah.
That's so huge.
That
I mean, you're about to play with bands, dude, that like you idolized when you were young. Like, oh my god, I'm gonna fucking play with, let's just say, I'm playing Blink-182. I'm just throwing
Yeah.
bands out there like that only go on Warped Tour. You're like, oh my god, I'm gonna play with like fucking No Effects or Less Than Jake. You're like, oh my fucking god, this is awesome, and so much love for those guys, because that's huge.
That's the one thing that makes me feel like really good too, is like when you see those bands that you've toured with when it was hard and you're playing like really shitty venues and stuff like that, and then they're finally at that place where it's like, man, it's good to see these guys are doing good. Like, they fucking deserve it. They work their asses off. It feels fucking really good to see that from both them and Upon a Burning Body.
Yeah, it's like
All the bands that I've toured with, even the ones that still are like doing okay but not like great, you know what I mean?
Yeah. You know what's funny? One band I want to talk in particular that I love. They're like metalcore. I call them like a new version of Bleeding Through, like It Dies a Day. Was, if you heard of them, I toured with them like 3 times. Was Motionless in White.
Okay.
Never knew who they were. Never met them. I just remember when I first met these guys, I was like, man, these guys kind of look like vampires.
Yeah.
And they fucking played, and I was like, fuck, dude, so heavy. Like, and I judged a book by its cover when I first met them. I was like, man, these guys look like weird. What the fuck? You know what I mean? And I'm talking to them, and the singer Chris, awesome guy. We're talking about bands. He's like, "Oh, dude, I love like old Trustkill records," and he's jamming, like fucking, Black Dahlia and all this other stuff. But they play a different style, and I'm like, "Fuck, dude, you're fucking awesome." But I started like, kind of following them, and they did that. They did shit tours. They started off doing crap tours, crap this, crap that. And then I met him with Attila and Drop Dead Gorgeous, and fucking ended up instantly becoming good friends with these guys. And they just busted their ass. And then now, if you're familiar with anything, they're fucking huge. Like they're huge.
Oh, and, trust me, I know. I worked in a Hot Topic for a while, and we sold so many of their goddamn shirts. It's insane.
Dude, it's ridiculous. And the thing I like, it's what really made me like them, is we're playing at that venue in Vineland, New Jersey, and they're playing, and they're downstairs, and Vineland, is it's a big hardcore area, so there's people there to see, Attila. There's like another tour there too. We met up. It's just some other band, and they start talking shit like fucking faggots, get off the stage, fucking faggot vampires. And I remember he just stops and he grabs a rag and he wipes off his makeup, the singer, and he goes, "You know what? You're a fucking tough guy." He goes like, "How about this? How about you come on stage right now and show me how fucking tough you are in front of everybody?" Drops the mic. He was like, "Show me how fucking tough you are. If not, then you can hold it. You and your friends. Afterwards, we'll be outside in the back. Why don't you come bring your ass over and show us how fucking tough you really are?" And the whole band's like fucking telling the dude, "Meet us out back, motherfucker. Like, we'll handle this shit like some fucking men." And I'm like, "Y'all are fucking down. I like y'all. Like, let's fucking kick some ass." You know what I mean? I like this. And then the crowd loved it, and the guys got kicked out or whatever. But the point I was getting at is that it made me realize, like, man, these guys really cared about the show. Like, they really, I didn't know anything about these guys, but it made me realize like how hard they worked and what they put in. Like they're not going to let people just put them down for nothing. You know what I mean? And now look at them; they're huge as hell, awesome guys. And the one thing I will say about that band is, I kind of hate to say this, but it's not. Bands care about their fans. That's true. Yeah. But I have never met a band that cares more about their fans than them. Like, they hands down, like, fucking care about their fans so much. And that was amazing. Like, I still get like speechless when I think of like the stuff I've seen them do with their fans. Like, it's amazing. And I'm pretty sure that you've seen the same thing with other bands. And
I've seen more indifference than anything. Like, some dudes are cool and they definitely want to meet people, but I've also seen just a ton of indifference because they're just like, I meet so many people every night. Like, God damn it, this guy's going to bother me for a picture and an autograph, and I don't want to talk to anybody. And it's like, they do the minimal amount that they can to just kind of like be nice to somebody, instead of going out of their way.
And how's that make you feel? I mean, I'm gonna be honest, man. Like, I've seen that too, and I'm not gonna lie. I've kind of been like, in my head, I'm thinking, dude, you're kind of a dick. Like, these kids come to see you, they want to pay. Like, if you don't want to do that, then maybe you're in the wrong business. Well, that's my opinion.
Yeah, no, I think it sucks. And another thing that I also think sucks that is like a big trend right now are those fucking VIP tickets.
Oh my god,
they're such a ripoff. You're basically paying extra money to get a guaranteed autograph when really you could just hang around after the band's done playing and run into them. Sure, it's not always going to happen, but you're not going to be out an extra $30, $40. It's such a fucking scam, and you're kind of ripping your fans off. I have a huge problem with that right now. Bands that are doing that, and I don't think it's necessarily the bands that are doing it either. It's probably like the booking agents or record companies, which is fine. I get it.
Yeah.
But it does feel like a ripoff. Not as somebody who's worked in the business, but as a fan, like, I see what they're doing and it's fucked up.
No. I agree 100%. And like you said, it's not the bands. A lot of it is it's the management. They're making money. It's what they do. Give a little extra to the bands. But I think it's worse when the bands let that get to their heads.
Yeah.
You
Yep.
know what I mean? And perfect example is, and I'll use the good old White Rabbit. Um, Before the whole meet and greets got big, I remember you would play the show, right?
Mm-hmm.
And then afterwards, because you've been there, all the bands parked in the back, and you would walk around the back, and you walk up to, hey, bro, man, you guys were awesome, dude. Like,
Yeah.
it's cool to get a picture with you guys. Yeah, you get a picture. And like, hey, what are y'all doing afterwards? We ain't got no plan, dude. You all want to go to Mama Marge's, get some Mexican food, man? I'll get care of y'all. And you made that one-on-one connection. Now it's kind of like I'm gonna pay $25 for this show, and then that's the normal ticket. But
Yeah.
if you buy the super bundle and you pay the $55 ticket, you get to you get to go into the show an hour early, wait in a long ass fucking line, shake a hand, and get an autograph, and then you get escorted back outside. So you pretty much paid an extra $30 for literally 2 minutes of meeting the band member.
Yeah, it's fucked up. I know, man. Like I enjoy actually kind of like waiting around. It's a little weird, obviously, like because you're like a hanger on, but I like it, man. I mean, some of the coolest people that I've met, like just going to shows, are the guys that don't mind you hanging around because they're like, oh damn, you've been hanging around. You seem like a cool guy. I want to talk to you. So I know the last time I did that was when I went to go see the Fall of Troy, and ended up talking to the fucking drummer for like 30 minutes about like just random shit, like anime. We had like matching tattoos from an anime, and like he was a cool fucking dude. So it was like it was worth it to hang around. But then there's other times where like I tried hanging around to wait and meet Dillinger Escape Plan to get my record signed, and like I barely ran into like two of them, and just trying to even get Greg to sign something. He was in such a rush. He barely like stopped, I was like, please, we're just real quick, bro. But yeah, it's hit or miss, but it's fun.
Yeah, it really is. And I think, that's the whole connect, you become one-on-one with the people and you meet people, and I think to me that's the fun, to me that's kind of like the fanboy, you want to meet the people, you want to do that. You don't feel like robotic and commercial. Like the band actually made you feel like a legit fan, like they actually, cared about you going to see them, versus like, oh, get the meet and greet, we don't give a shit, blah 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 blah. And being on both sides of the spectrum, like I've been there. I've been on the side where I've been TM bands where I've had this. That's your job. I've set up the meet and greets. Okay, send these
Yeah.
guys in, send this in, send this in. At the time, I didn't think about it because it's business, it's work. I'm like, okay, let's do that. Then now I start thinking about it more, and I was like, man, that sucks. You know what I mean? But I guess what offset is I've had the pleasure of the bands I've been with. After the meet and greets, they would still hang out with their bands. I mean, with their fans. You know what I mean? So it was really, really cool. But unfortunately, I have seen a lot of bands that were just like really cocky.
Yeah, that's the shitty part.
You know what I mean? That they did the meet and greets, and then afterwards they'd be like, "Can I get this?" I'd be like, nah, man, no, I can't, busy. And they just like they play and then run on the tour bus and just stay there and like not come out. You know what I mean? And this fucking kid paid $25 to see you, just bought your new CD, just bought like 4 shirts off of you that were outrageously priced, and you can't come out and take a picture or sign an autograph. Like, I mean, fuck, man, like this kid's single-handedly like he's your paycheck. You know what I mean? And I think the music business right now is really getting to that where I don't think there's fan appreciation anymore, or at all.
Yeah, and it's kind of unfortunate. I mean, it's it's not all like that. We are kind of talking like gloom and doom, but no, it's unfortunate. It does happen, but like you're saying, there are bands that like really, really do appreciate their fans, and they do go out of their way to kind of like have one-on-ones with them and stuff.
Yeah, and I love it. You know what I mean? It's cool. But
so
go ahead.
I guess kind of to wind down a little bit here because we've been going for about an hour and a half. We did mention Victory Records earlier, and I have no problem shit talking that label. They have fucked over so many bands. I think any band that I've ever toured with has nothing good to say about them. Carnifex especially.
Oh yeah.
Yeah, I mean, what you were gonna say some stories. I mean, what do you got? I want to hear one or two before we kind of end it up here.
So I was on tour with the band. I think their name was called A Hero Fake.
Mm-hmm.
They were on Victory, and they would tell me. So they got signed to Victory. We're on tour. They're like, yeah, we just recorded our full length and all this stuff. Oh, awesome, dude. Oh yeah, we're doing all this. So it kind of goes maybe about a week or two. Then one of the band members like, "What's wrong?" I was like, "I was fucking pissed." Like they're all kind of mad. You see their whole demeanor change. He was like, "What happened?" He was like, "Yeah, well, all our promotional stuff has been put on hold. Our record's been put on hold. Well, what's going on?" He was like, "Yeah, the owner of the label is just real like, yeah, you know what, guys, I'm just really not gonna put my time on you guys right now. So y'all do this tour. I'll put you guys on some tours, and then we'll come back to it in a little bit." And they're like,
Wow.
just like recorded a full length album. You gave us money, gave us this and all this, and then you're just gonna be like, yeah, I'm not gonna push y'all. I'm just gonna, we'll just kind of just let it how it flies. And I'm just like, the right there is like, okay, because I've heard horror stories, and I got to see how scummy he really was. And I think one of the biggest horror stories I've heard from them was with A Day to Remember.
Yeah.
I know they had to like. I didn't realize how bad it was till I'm like reading and I'm talking to people because I got to do some little tours with them, and I was just like, I really got to see like, did y'all really have to hire lawyers and stuff? He's like, yeah, bro, it was fucking bad, like to get out of that label, and I didn't realize that he was that much of a piece of shit.
Oh yeah.
To-
Yeah, he kept all the royalties from all those big bands. Darkest Hour, Between the Buried and Me, like none of those guys ever got their royalties. And
Damn.
those bands sold records, especially back in the heyday, like 05, 06, 07.
Oh yeah, those bands killed
Come
it.
on, yeah.
I did not. Damn, all the royalties. That's really scummy.
As far as I know, that's what I was under the impression. Even like I think at one point in time, like Between the Buried and Me posted a picture of a check that they got, and it was like 98 cents or something like that.
Wow.
Yeah, there's no fucking way. They've sold a lot of records.
Yeah, definitely. I remember another good horror story I heard from him that I actually know because I got to see a contract. Is what he did is when he would sign a band, if he knew the singer was real marketable, the singer was really stood out, had a good voice, he was a big part of the band. He would sign it in the contract to where if the band ever broke up and the singer started another project, he had rights to the singer. He had rights
What?
to this and that. And I'm just like, what the fuck? So I knew people, I'm not gonna say their names, that had to like really go through legal actions to get that. I'm like, why aren't you gonna start a band? I'm like, can't. I was like, why? Well, because of this fucking, because when you think about it, you don't. When bands, you want to get a lawyer, but a lot of times bands don't go in depth. They sign the contracts, they do this, they do that, and yeah, that guy was complete horrible. And I don't even. They're not even a label anymore.
Oh yeah, no, they're still signing bands. They're still a label, still putting records out from bands that aren't even on their label. I can't tell you
Wow.
how often they put out new like vinyl pressings of A Day to Remember stuff like once every 2 or 3 months because it still sells out and it makes them money.
That is crazy. Yeah, I know that. I know that they were probably one of their biggest bands in like the late like like maybe like before what, like 2009, 2010. Like they were killing it on that label.
Yeah,
You know.
10 years ago, Homesick would have come out, or not Homesick, for those who have heart.
Yeah, and that album I remember was sold everywhere. And yeah, that's a shitty label, and that guy sucks. And I know a lot of people in the music business that like that worked in management and stuff that would tell me some bad stories about him. So it is what it is, man. It is what it is. But I do want to say one thing though.
Say it.
I'm really, really glad that you had me on this thing because this is my first podcast. I have no idea what I'm doing. I'm just rambling on, but man, this
Oh
is
no,
a
dude,
lot
it's
of
been
fun.
great. Like I love sharing these kind of stories, so it's fun to like not talk, because the whole thing we've been doing with the podcast is like, like historically talking about records and like everything like that. But it's nice to kind of break away from it for a little bit and just talk about music and the stuff that goes on that people don't really know about too much,
Mm-hmm.
But dude, whenever you want to come back on and just talk about music and records and stuff, Pantera, we'll fucking have a whole Pantera episode. Have you on?
Oh, dude, yes. And speaking of that, I actually had a conversation a few days ago. A guy came into my work and he had a metal shirt. And I was like, "Fuck yeah, dude, you like that?" He's like, "Oh yeah, dude." He started naming all these bands. I was like, "You can't forget about the classic, dude, Pantera." He's like, "Dude, never really got off to Pantera." I was like, "Dude, get the
Oh
fuck out
my
of my store."
God.
How the fuck you gonna come in here and say you're fucking metal? And then I say Pantera. I never got off the Pantera. I was like, that's fucking blasphemy. Anyone that is anyone with metal is you better fucking love Pantera. I'm gonna kick you in your dick. Like, I'm sorry. Like that's fucking. They paved the way for like Vinnie Paul made double bass cool.
Yeah, so many bands like, oh man, that's weird to me if somebody says they don't like Pantera.
Hey, so you know what? Before I get off, something I always want to ask you.
Yeah,
What does it do in Chattanooga?
nothing.
Really?
I mean, I'm sure it's changed a lot since I've been there. I haven't been there in like 4 or 5 years, but honestly, man, the only things we would always do is just go downtown and drink at bars. Like, other than that, I mean, downtown's nice. You can walk around and there's like an aquarium there. But yeah, there's nothing to do in Chattanooga. I don't know. It's not that great.
Damn. I've been dying to ask that forever, and I never got to ask any one of y'all because I just like, what is it to do in this place? But it is what it is.
Yeah,
But
man. We wouldn't really ever do much, honestly. I mean, it's like any other kind of small town. It's not a lot to do.
All right, get drunk and worship Morgan Freeman.
Pretty much, yeah. We had a Morgan Freeman meeting place. We'd go watch his movies. No, I'm totally kidding. That definitely never happened.
Hey, I'd be like, the one actor that never ages. But it is what it is. But hey, man, thank you so much for having me on your podcast today.
Oh man, no, thank you for doing it. I had a good time on this one. I'm gonna edit it and post it up tonight, and it'll be ready to go tomorrow.
All right, man. Well, thank you so much. My wife just got home, so it's time for me to leave my music memories and enter adulthood.
For sure. So do you want anybody to follow you on any social media stuff, or maybe just check out Blood of Our Enemies for some old school feels?
Yeah, man. If anyone wants to go, you can go to myspace.com/enemies. The good old MySpace. We still got it. Or actually, you know what? Do me a favor.
Yeah.
If people listen to this, go YouTube it on My Blood of Our Enemies. If you like it, why don't you buy us on iTunes? Because our label still makes money of us on iTunes. I haven't seen a dime of it. I know we've paid them off, but they actually our album actually is. We're very big in Sweden right now. Like, that's no lie.
Interesting.
Yeah, like I still talk to the label guy, and he is very open about it. The guy that owned us was Kevin Talley, the drummer for Death.
Oh yeah. I met him a couple times.
And he's like, we still sell a lot of your albums. Like, really? He was like, yeah, Sweden, Japan. Like, he's like, yeah, dude. He's like, last month, I think we sold like 50 units. And I was like, what the fuck?
That's cool.
And I was like, yeah, it's cool. I was like, so you just keep the money and don't tell us? Okay, that's awesome. It is what it is. But yeah, I had a blast, man. And I'll definitely be back on here because this is fun.
Yeah, definitely. Cool, man.
Be excellent to each other.
And party on, dudes!